Alma, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. So today I'm going to be doing first impressions on the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Foundation. At first I didn't want to get it because I just recently got the Fenty Beauty, but I was just like, yeah, I really want to know. So if you want to know my thoughts, how I applied it, and like my first impressions and review, I can't call this a review, I will call this a first impression because it is the first time I wore it on camera. Like I even opened it like a couple of seconds before switching on the camera. Anyway, if you want to see how it applies and my thoughts and all that, just keep watching. If you do like this video, please don't forget to give me a little thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have, you should, you know, hit that little notification bell so you're sure to be notified when I have new videos on. And you know what, let's just get into it. Okay. Okay, so I know I look kind of crazy right now, but that's because I have another video going on and I don't know when it's going to be up, but it is using the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, so I will leave a link in the description box when that is up. But let's just get into this first impression with a little bit of details. Like I have like my notes here. And so this is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Foundation. And the tagline is express your selfie. I was just like, okay, cool. And the shade I got was brown sugar. I did have a little idea because Tanya sent me like a chart that showed you like what foundation you are, if you are, let's say, like the Fenty Beauty filter foundation or like MAC or whatever. I'll try and put up the chart right now. So my best guess was brown sugar 410G. Retails for 52 Canadian dollars plus tax. I was like, okay, but why isn't this glass? Because like this is plastic, and I was just like a little bit disappointed, but I do like the, you know, the whole ombre thing. It does look nice, and I guess it'll be more travel friendly, so I would have loved it to be glass because of the price point, but I see where, you know, I know a lot of people would have complained if it was glass and they're like, oh, it's not travel friendly. But anyway, for that price point, I think a glass bottle is needed. At the same time that she launched this foundation, she also launched a brush and a primer to go with it. However, I didn't feel the need to get those because, as per usual, I like to stick to what I know, and maybe later I'll check it out. But I was pleasantly surprised because in the foundation, like the box thingamabob, it came with a moisture makeup base. So this is like a sample size of the primer. I will try it out at some point, but it's not going to be in this video because, like I said, I like to stick to what I know, and I'll be using the Makeup Forever Step 1 Hydrating Primer. If you did not know, I am dry skin like all year long, except maybe during the summer I'm a bit oily in my T-zone, but I am usually dry, so this never fails me. And as for the application, I'm going to be using my Morphe M439 brush, and on the other side I'm going to be using a beauty blender just to see how, you know, they both compare. So the primer does retail for 45 Canadian dollars and the brush retails for 32 Canadian dollars. So it's said to be medium to full coverage for all skin types. I'm just like, okay, like you really on Sephora that was like all skin types. I'm usually a little bit iffy about this because usually full coverage, all skin types, it tends to be more for like people with oily skin, but we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna see how it goes. And it's even the finish, like it says it's a satin matte radiant natural finish, and I was reading this, I was like, how? Anyway, we'll see how it goes. So I have moisturized my face like a couple of, I don't want to say at least 30 minutes ago, so it's like nice and sits in. And I'm going to go in with my primer. I'm going to use primer everywhere because that's what I do anyways. I don't like, you know, trying on foundation and like, you know, putting it through the test in situations that don't make sense because I would never do that anyways. So that's why I like to use my go-to primer, my go-to brushes, my go-to beauty blender or whatever, because I feel that's the best way of knowing if it works for you, because you know you have foundation reference and like how you apply them and all that, and I want to stick to what I usually do, because why the hell not? I'm just gonna see if it gives you directions. Using a pump or less, apply foundation evenly all over the face with a dense brush or beauty sponge. For best application, pair with the Huda Beauty Complexion Perfection Pre-Makeup Base. Okay, so it doesn't say to shake or anything. I'm still gonna shake just in case because I just want to. What I like about this is like it does have a pump, and to me at that price, you have no excuses to like not have pumps. Estee Lauder. Let's hope this is my color, yo. Please come out. Ooh. Okay, so it's not super liquidy. I do hope you can see that. It's a little bit. I'm just gonna, and it's a little bit thick. Ooh, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, dot it. Jesus, I feel like I'm putting on so much. You know what? We're gonna work fast. Let's see. Still left with all this. So on this side, I'm gonna use my beauty blender. Let's just go in. It's very perfumey. Oh my gosh! If you do not like scents in your foundation, you're not gonna like this. Oh my gosh! It's like full-on perfume. I personally don't mind it, but if scent is an issue, holy cow! What? Okay, so medium to full coverage. I'll say like full coverage from the get-go, yo. I think this 1.5 pump or so might be too much because it has covered everything, and I'm using the beauty blender. And usually, you know, beauty blenders, you know, soak up foundation, but here, can you see? I still have a little beauty mark here peeping through, but other than that, it's pretty fluid. Let's go in with the brush on the other side and see what gives. Okay, so this is like full-on covered my beauty marks, I feel. Oh wow, okay. Whoa, I'm not sure to use all this because this is full coverage. Let's just go a little extra. Let's see what it gives. Okay, so it is layering nicely, and my beauty blender is not sucking at everything, I feel. Okay, so this is definitely full coverage. But its scent is really scented, like very perfumey. So I still have quite a lot left on my hand. I would say a pump is enough. If you want more coverage, obviously go for it, but if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I'm not that much of a full coverage kind of person. I really like that skin, you know, that feel of skin when it comes to my foundations, but let's just go up close and personal. Okay, so it does look really nice on my face. However, you do, like I said, I'm dry skin and I did moisturize before, and I did use a hydrating powder. On the side where I use the brush, I feel like it looks more like foundation, like, you know, like you have foundation on your face. Whilst on the side where I use the beauty blender, it blended a little bit more evenly and it looks more like skin, but I'm not compromising the coverage. Like, it's still pretty much full coverage. Like, all my beauty marks are pretty much covered. Like, if you're dry skin, for real, like, you need to moisturize, because I can totally see this clinging on to my dry patches. Right now it's not doing that because you know, I moisturize and everything, but for sure, like over here, like it's kind of like a dry spot, and I can see the foundation a bit more. Blend that a little bit. But honestly, I said the scent wasn't disturbing me, and this is a first impression, so I don't know how it go throughout the day, but I smell it. It's not a bad scent, but it is very perfumey. It does look really good. That I will give you that. Like it's like full on airbrush, and there is a little bit of it's matte, but there's still a little bit of sheen. If I had to compare it to the Fenty Beauty, the Fenty one is more like skin than this, than the Huda Beauty Faux filter. But honestly, it looks really good, and I like to say that the color match isn't bad at all. Like it's pretty decent. Like I have a ring light and an overhead light. I didn't put on my 2 soft boxes. The scent does bother me though, but on a whole, it really looks very full coverage. I think there's nothing medium coverage about this foundation. Like this is full coverage for sure. I think that if you are oily skin, you might really like this. If for example you didn't like the Fenty Beauty because it wasn't full coverage enough, and it was a little bit too like on the natural dewy side, even though it says soft matte, this is pretty matte, and yeah, it looks, it covers everything. And also, like when I applied the second layer, it did layer on nicely. Like the foundation didn't move or anything, and it didn't dry that fast, so I could actually like you saw, like work on both sides, and that was that. I'm gonna finish the rest of my makeup and I will get back to you with my final thoughts. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes since I applied the foundation, and I will start off by saying from afar it looks really good. Everything blends in nicely. The match is on point. So if like me you're an NC42 or you're a 310 in the Fenty Beauty foundation, this is pretty much your shade. Like it didn't oxidize as much as I thought it would, and you know, it all looks good. When I come up close and I use my magnifying mirror, I can see that here it's starting to crease and separate around my smile lines, a little bit under the eyes as well, and up close I look really dry. Even though I applied some Fix Plus, I still do feel like dry, and I do feel like I have makeup on my face. Like I go like this and I feel that there's something on there. So if you are into like the whole lightweight natural foundation, I would tell you to skip it. And even more so if like me you're dry skin, I think that next time I'm just gonna go in with my Versali Rose Gold Elixir first, then moisturize, because this foundation truly needs your skin to be moisturized, unless it's gonna cling on to dry patches. And maybe even powder less, and I didn't even powder that much. Like I just used my Micro Smooth by Sephora. This is one of like my all-time favorites, and it usually sits really well on everything else, and I don't look that powdery. But with this foundation, I do find myself looking quite done up. Obviously I did like a full look, let's get that right, but even though when I do like full looks and things like that, I still like my skin to look like skin, kind of like illusion. But here you can totally tell that I have something on my skin, even though like it blends in nicely and everything. But the minute you come up close, it's just cracking around here, a little bit around the nose as well. My forehead feels especially dry, and like it does set nicely. Like I don't think it's gonna transfer or anything. Would I recommend this? If you're oily skin, heck yeah, go for it. If you're dry skin, I'll think twice about it before. It is a beautiful foundation. I do see myself taking a whole bunch of pictures and looking fly AF and not using, you know, Facetune 2 to Facetune my face. But yeah, dry skin, I don't think it's the most dry skin friendly foundation. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but this range of foundation actually carries about 30 shades, and I do feel like another 10 extra shades around the deep tan to deep skin tones would have been super helpful, because the in-betweens are not so great from what I saw, but I was happy enough to find my foundation, so you know, selfish me, I'm happy I found my thing. But honestly, I think she did do a really good job on this. I'm actually really pleasantly surprised, to be honest. Even though it's not the perfect match for me and my skin type, I do see how this can be, how a lot of people will like it. And congratulations on Huda for bringing out, you know, foundation, and she's done quite a good job. I would like to see her bring out something that's a little bit more dry skin friendly, but honestly, so far, anyways, that is it for my first impressions. I do hope you liked it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!